Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 107.5 FM WSFD-LP Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:03. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board and our chief engineer, Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Good morning. It's cold out there.
It is 25 degrees outside this morning. It is a bit chilly, but not as windy as it has been.
Yeah, I know. That's the only saving grace.
Yeah, that's a really big deal. I have a couple of my volunteers, one of them being my husband, going out today doing some installs on our residential lockbox program for the Senior Safe.
Gotcha.
grant, and we strategically chose today because less windy, and it's supposed to go up to close to 50. So I mean, it'll be nice, but right now it is. It's definitely chilly. So if you're sending the kiddos out to the bus stop. Or walking to school for
Today's
sure.
a layer day.
Yeah. And, it was so weird, Pete, because I was driving over here and I was coming down one of the side streets, and there was a guy walking, and he had a jacket on, but he had shorts on, and he was just kind of strolling. He wasn't walking a dog. He didn't
That's
look
Mr.
like he was.
Popko.
Is that who that is? And I thought, dear Lord.
That's the Popko that used to be the weights and measures guy for the city. He lives right down here on the end of Greylock.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Mr. Popko. He walks every morning.
Oh,
He's
my
retired.
gosh. In shorts. I was like,
yep.
Whoa.
I said that to him. I'm like,
it's chilly.
what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, as I said, he had a jacket on.
Yeah,
it wasn't in short sleeves, but.
Yep, shorts, yeah.
Holy smokes. All right. So Thanksgiving is one week and a day away.
I know.
Cannot even believe it, Pete.
I know.
I'm so trying to get my life in order here.
Yeah, next week, as soon as I finish Harry's show, I am off to...
Where are you going?
We're off to Auburn, Mass. to pick up the truck.
I saw the schematic out on the was that it? Hanging up on the thing over there. Wow.
Yeah, we're about a week out.
Exciting. That's so funny that you said that too, because when I pulled in today, I pulled in next to your car, and I was thinking to myself, I'm looking at all the vans, the Westfield Tech Academy vans out there, and I'm thinking, hey, when are we going to get our van? That should be coming in soon.
Very soon.
There it is. Wow.
Very soon. We're working on...
That's exciting.
Working on the last couple of things. The graphics are approved. And they'll all feature pictures that I took of when we had a really nice blue sky, partly cloudy day. So the graphics are all, pretty much my photos that I took around the city. Because guys, like, you got a better picture than what I could see on the website? I'm like, yeah. Give me about an hour.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a really good day to shoot.
Yeah, definitely. Oh,
so I went out on a photo mission. So
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Excellent. I
Excellent.
won't say what's on the truck, but I like all 3 photos that he picked.
Okay. Perfect.
And you'll recognize them all.
Okay. Perfect. I'm excited. I can't wait to see them.
That should be fun.
Yeah. You know what? I'm getting an echo in here a little bit.
All right, hold on.
Okay. Yeah. I can hear myself, and I can hear you after the fact. So thank you.
I wonder if that's coming from the radio room.
It might be. I feel like it is. It sounds like it is.
All right.
Anyhow.
Give me a second. Unless somebody turned up the TVs.
Maybe. That could be.
If somebody turned up the TVs, you'll hear that too. But let me look at the radio room first. And you keep talking.
Okay, I can keep talking. So let's see. Ooh, yeah, it's like really echoey. What was I going to say? You know what? Let me just do this since I have to do this on my own here. Today is November 19th, and it is National Education Support Professionals Day.
Is it gone now?
No, it's not gone yet.
No.
Still echoing a little bit
So
in here.
somebody turned up one of the TVs.
I'm going to guess that's what happened. In the other room?
No, in your room.
In my room?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So we can't do anything about that until the break.
Do you have the remote on your desk?
I do.
So you can try pointing it and see if turn the volume down.
Okay, technical
And
difficulties.
could be the
Let's see.
It could be the one behind you too is on.
Oh. I bet that's it, because I usually don't put that one on. Let's
Just
see if
turn
I
the-
can shut it off.
Let's turn the volume down. This is how we do it, we fly by the seat of our pants around here because we don't have a crew of any more than a half. Is that any better? All right, we're still trying to fix the problem. Oh, maybe that's why. Nope. That would be why on that board. Let's see. Is it any better now?
Yes, I believe that it is.
Okay. I think
know.
I figured out
I don't
why.
usually have that TV on behind me. I didn't realize that was on. All right. So anyway, let's get back to National Professionals Day. We'll get this one. This National Education
Sorry.
Support Professionals Day. That's okay, Pete. Hey, we're family here. We're all family here.
We're all working towards the same goal.
Exactly. All right. So listen, annually observed on the Wednesday during American Education Week, National Education Support Professionals Day honors the contributions of school support employees. And I feel like it's important that we mention this because we are housed, for those of you who don't know, the studio is actually housed at Westfield Technical Academy, which is one of our vocational high school here in Westfield. These support professionals provide invaluable services and are essential partners in the children's education process. The day honors a long list of professionals who keep schools running smoothly. I mean, let's face it, when you think of schools, you think of teachers and a principal. I mean, that's kind of it, right? But they include administrative assistants, classroom aides, who are more important than ever these days, cafeteria workers, maintenance workers, bus drivers, and the others that support educators, school leadership, and the students as well. These professionals do their part to create an environment in our public schools where students can be safe, learn, grow, and achieve. The history of this is the National Educational Association's Representative Assembly called for a day to be set aside to salute the school's support employees. In 1987, so that was a long time ago, the Assembly created National Education Support Professionals Day. And so here you are. So that's what we're doing. So we're honoring all of those. So for those of you who are in schools today, either visiting, going to school, or, whatever you're doing there, thank those people who support, the teachers and the principals and the leadership and educate our students. So that was great, Pete. That worked out really well because I was looking at, we have a full slate this morning, and I'm thinking, what am I going to sneak this in about Education Support Professionals Day? And
right
out of the gate, that's what we did. So this morning we have Dr. Akinelli Lovelace will be joining us first hour. It is American Diabetes Month, so we're going to talk all about diabetes and kind of do a review for those of us who just need that review of what is diabetes, what causes it. It is like at epidemic proportions right now. The numbers are staggering. So we're going to delve into that first hour. And then second hour, which is not her usual Wednesday to be here, but Jen Jafune is going to join us because she did not want to come in the day before Thanksgiving. I assume she's got a house full coming. Anyway, Jen's going to join us. And last month, she was talking about heart health, nutrition, and specifically some heart healthy fats. But she didn't get into some of the less healthy fats, and she had wanted to talk about that a little bit. We didn't get to it.
Oh, sure. Ruin our Thanksgiving.
And we said, well, we'll cover that next month. And so here we are. Yep. Mm-hmm. And if we have time, we'll talk about some ways to stay healthy and eating healthy during the holidays. You don't have to give up everything. You don't have to sacrifice, some of those favorite, comfort foods that, the traditions. So Pete, first Thanksgiving in a while being married, and certainly first Thanksgiving being married to Christy. So what are the Thanksgiving plans? Do we know what we're doing yet?
We are going down to her sister's house because her sister likes hosting Thanksgiving.
Oh, I love it when people like hosting.
Yeah, she'd rather have it at her house than travel.
There you go.
So she's willing to do the work if people come to her. So
absolutely.
So Christy's daughter is gonna come.
Nice.
And then her father, and then my brother-in-law's brother and his wife and daughter are coming. So we have a full house down there.
You'll have a full house down there.
And then the day after, my brother's wife celebrates Thanksgiving with her family. But they do it as a get ready for Christmas because they make the pierogies. Freeze them for Christmas.
Yep.
So, and we do gingerbread houses and things like that. So
fun.
That's going to be a massive house full of people.
Oh, fun.
She's got like four or five brothers and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got there's a ton of family and kids and everything else.
Good times.
Yep.
Good times. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yep.
So I am so excited because Grace and I are going to be by ourselves for Thanksgiving Day. Gary's going to head to New Jersey to be with his side of the family. Of course, we'll do our, I'll be working in the morning. And so I had declared to Grace, I said, I'm not cooking a Thanksgiving meal because I work every Thanksgiving day and then I go home and I cook a meal. Now, usually we don't have a lot of people or anything, but still, it's a lot of work. I'm tired. By the time I get there, I'm just like, I'm done. So I said to Grace, so we're going to figure something different out. So we tossed around the idea of going out, of eating out for Thanksgiving.
Better have reservations because
yes, and we've been planning this for like over a month,
Gotcha.
so that was okay. So we checked out different places in the area. Then I said, well, Grace, on the other hand, if we do that, and we obviously have to have a reservation, then we're really locked into a time. And I know how Grace is, and I know how I am by the time I get to Thanksgiving afternoon. Like, we're both pooped. And I said, I don't know that we're going to want to go, like then dress up and go out and so forth. So then I was looking for, well, where could I get a cooked turkey?
I know you're super healthy and all, but I've always wanted to try this. But Popeye's Chicken, you can order a Cajun turkey.
Oh, I'm not a Cajun person.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Steve.
You know what I ended up going with, Pete? And Grace goes, seriously, Mom? And I said, Grace, I'm so excited about this. So I went to the butcher block. So you can get a roasted turkey there. The problem was they were all too big. Like, there are only two of us. Like, I don't need a 15-pound turkey.
They don't do turkey breast?
No. No. And it was only big or bigger. But Big Y had like 4 or 5 different combos. I
think
looked
if you
at
talked to DJ, he would smoke a turkey breast.
You know what? I'm okay with it. I'm doing the Big Y thing. It's sliced. It comes with a set thing for 4, which is perfect because it's just the two of us, and that'll give us leftovers.
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh, and if you want any extras on the back, so then they have pies and this, that, and the other thing. I said, I'm all about this. I
ordered a pie from Culinary.
You know what? I never know when they're doing their orders. I wanted to do it this year, and every time I thought to text you and say, hey, tell me when they're taking the orders, I kept thinking, I know it's too late. It was because it was even like a week or so ago, and I said, no.
Yeah, usually it's the beginning of the month because they have to figure out, they have to order
the supplies.
Right.
All right, so beginning of the month, because I'm doing that next year, and every time I thought of it, I was in the wrong place.
Walk over and talk to Mrs. Boyso and have her put you on the mailing list or something.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, to get on the mail. That's a good idea, to get on the mailing list. So anyway, that's my big thing, and I'm really excited. Grace is really excited that we can just hang out, watch football in our sweats and our jammies and stuff like that.
I've been told I'm making an appetizer, but last time I looked around the house and I made a cream cheese jalapeno dip.
Ooh.
That people thought was really good.
Okay.
And then I made a dill version of it that was even better.
Really?
Yeah. I whipped up cream cheese in a food processor.
Yep.
Put in pickled jalapenos and dill.
Okay.
And
All right.
tasted actually pretty. A little bit of pickle juice and it tasted
Did you
really
make
good.
it up or did you get it off the internet? The recipe?
I did it in my head.
You just did it in your head.
I had it when I had. I looked around and said, all right, what flavor combinations might work?
I would not have put jalapeno and pickled stuff together. But I'm not a jalapeno. I can't do super hot and spicy.
Well, pickled jalapenos are not super hot. They're not terrible.
Okay.
But with the tamping down of cream cheese.
Yeah, that's true.
Whipped cream cheese.
Yeah.
It actually became pretty
And then what
smooth.
do you use? Like veggies or crackers?
Veggies and
nice.
tortilla chips
work
well. Almost anything, actually.
Yeah.
Because that flavor kind of works with almost anything.
Yeah. Well, Gary's heading to New Jersey to the family of which has grown to, and now the kids have taken over. So I think more than anything, Gary wants to see, what do their houses look like? It's all the nieces and nephews, and now their children who are all Charlie's age. They're all babies. So anyway, he's going to go and do that. So I'm sending down a green bean dish, and I said to Gary, I said, you're getting, fresh green beans and smoked almonds. It's not, and so he's all about that. So yeah, so I'm doing that. So I figured, well, if I do that, I'll do that for Grace and me, and then we'll throw a few sides in, and we're gonna be good to go. Everybody be good to go.
You know what you could also do if you wanted, if you didn't want to make all the sides.
Well,
you could probably get them from Delaney's Market.
I could, but you know what? I don't mind. The sides I don't mind. And it comes with the dinner that I'm getting. Comes with garlic mashed potatoes and I think glazed carrots.
Oh, that's not bad.
No, not at all. And then I figure, I like their coleslaw, so I'll get their coleslaw and I'll make the green bean stuff. And and the stuffing is like a specialty stuffing that it comes with. So I was like, all right. It comes with stuffing, mashed potatoes, carrots. Grace and I will make the green beans, and we ordered a pie, and so come on, it's like we're good.
I gotcha.
We're good. So I'm pretty excited about that. All right, did I see Dr. Lovelace? Did I see headlights or yes, no? See, let me just.
Haven't seen anybody at the door yet.
All right, he better not have overslept. No message.
Somebody's coming around the corner at a good clip.
Okay, on
That's
2
probably
wheels.
him.
That's probably Akinyele. Let's see. What else did I want to? Well, let me do. You know what? Let me do a couple of announcements while we're waiting for the good doctor. Because Pete, you know what I wanted to ask you about? I read in the Westfield News, which I didn't bring my copy in because I took it home to give it to Grace. So they're doing the tractor thing, the tractor parade in Wyben.
That's Saturday.
This on Saturday, and Harry and Ann Rock, I guess, are hosting and broadcasting. Yes, is that what we have? Yes. So I have
and they're doing it with Brady. Brady's going to be shooting that for him.
I'm really excited about this. If the weather's decent, we want to take Charlie because I saw the pictures in the Westfield News and I said to Grace,
it was fun last year.
Oh my God, she would have a ball. But Grace and I both have the same question. They give you a laundry list of where you can't park. Where can you park?
Kind of wherever you can.
Because they said you can't. They said you can't park along the parade route, which I don't know what the parade route is, so I have to find that out.
It's right by the Wyben Chapel.
Okay. But then how far does it go?
Hold on, I gotta let him in.
No, I know. Anyway, so just to let our viewing audience know, so Wyben is doing a light up tractor parade, which I guess this is the second annual.
So I think it goes it's the same route as the 4th of July parade.
Okay, I don't know where that is.
So it goes by Wyben Chapel, and it goes for a short distance. It starts just above Wyben Chapel, and then it goes about a quarter to a half mile below it.
Okay. Well, I have to look up where that is.
Just call Harry.
Yeah, I am going to call Harry. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
You got an in on the deal here.
I know. Well, and Grace and I know a couple people who live in Wyben, and I said to Grace, well, let's find out if they're on the parade route. We can park in their driveway and, watch the parade. I think Charlie would love it. Looking at the photos, I think she would be all over this.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
So we're going to look in, hopefully, if the weather's decent. So Grace's big thing now is I got to go get this child like a winter coat because she doesn't have anything. This is the weirdest thing. You put a child in a car seat now and you're not supposed to put him in the winter coat in the car seat. I said to Grace, we live in New England.
It's too constricting.
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't even get it. All I said to Grace is we probably broke every rule there was to break when she was a kid because we didn't know all this stuff.
Yep.
So I said, but we live in New England. So, so what do you put your child in? You better hope your car has a good heating system.
By the way, I give you permission now to blow through the break, the next break.
Okay, I will blow through the next break. Let's bring Dr. Lovelace in here. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. We will be back in 1 minute and 36 seconds.
Got this monkey on my back, got like nipping at my heels, turning on my wheels. What's this pain in my chest? No, I really don't want to gas. Appointment overdue. See, Joy Island when I woke up yesterday, and I can't remember if I took my meds today. It's alright, I won't remember anyway. Rock it like a two-step, then call the doctor.
Support for the community programming provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Where will the superintendent spotlight shine next? Join Stefan Zaporowski and Chris Rogers every Thursday at 9 a.m. to find out. 107.5 FM WSFD. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 107.5 FM WSFD-LP Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:23. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and watching WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host. Pete Coles is behind the glass. Pete is our chief engineer and the chairman of the board, as we like to call him. And my guest first hour is Dr. Akinyele Lovelace from Family Medicine Associates. He is a primary care physician and joins us once a month. Although we missed you last month because it didn't work out in the schedule. October wasn't working for you. I get it completely. So welcome back. And it is November is American Diabetes Month.
Yeah.
So that is going to be the topic of the day. And, I was thinking about this. First of all, I have to say, and just kind of doing an update, just kind of a look it over, just to make sure we focus on what we want to focus on. The numbers are staggering. I was blown away. It is almost 50% of American adults have been diagnosed with either type 1, type 2, or pre-diabetes. That number, that really blew me away. I mean, I knew the statistics were high, so we need to talk about that. We need to talk about what, I want to go through the whole thing. What is diabetes? We all know there's more than one type. So what's the difference? Is one worse or better than the other? What do you do about it? Do you have to go on medication? Do you have to, people say, oh, I have to give myself shots. I mean, I think there are a lot of myths out there about diabetes. So let's talk. Let's figure this out.
So good morning. Yeah, diabetes, definitely something that affects nearly 1 in 10 Americans, right? Which is staggering.
It is staggering.
But what is it? It's a condition where the body has trouble managing blood sugar, right?
Okay.
That's where we can go with this. And for all intents and purposes, there's two types. There's type 1, which is less common, and type 1 is more of an immune system issue, where your immune system really attacks the organ in your body that makes the product that's necessary for you to absorb your sugar, and that's we're going to call insulin, right? Mm-hmm. So insulin is something that our body naturally makes, but for some adults, and usually at a very young age, and so we're talking, I have a brother-in-law who was diagnosed he was like 11 or 12, right? Yeah. So you typically see it in younger children, young adults, and in all fairness, sometimes it's even misdiagnosed in adults in their 20s. We're starting to notice, but it's not as common as type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, which accounts for over 90% of the cases, and is largely driven by lifestyle, metabolic health, and there's some genetic component to it, right? And so the issue there is when you have high blood sugar. So what are we talking about here when we talk about high sugar? And it's so funny because people will say to me, they'll say, well, I don't eat a lot of sugary things.
Yeah.
I don't eat a lot of candy. Yeah. And I'll say, well, that's true. Maybe you don't eat a lot of candy, but there are things within our diet that really do that, and it's really prevalent in a lot of different areas where there's access to highly overprocessed carbohydrates and overly processed just food in general, right? Mm-hmm. And those are the places where it occurs. And so I'm always worried about communities that have multiple fast food restaurants. Maybe it's the same, I'm not going to name any in particular, but we could all think of them out loud.
Of course.
There's usually might be a guy with red hair who looks like a clown, right? But he might have multiple franchises in one particular area.
Yes.
And so you have to be concerned about why is that happening? And so I always worry about places that have deficiencies in having access to adequate nutrition and real food.
Right.
And what does that mean? That means that we are exposing our population of people to overly processed high sugary sodas, overly processed carbohydrates, and breads. And so what do I mean by carbohydrates? I mean foods that it was usually made by some type of grain, right? Okay. So that's where we start, right? Okay. So whether it's a bread, whether it's rice, whether it's pasta, whether it's a French fry, right? Those things they've taken the real nutritional value out of that wheat, barley, or oat, and they've beaten it down to the point where they've taken all the nutritional substances that are there, and they're just left with the calorie that's there, and it's primarily just an overly processed carbohydrate. That carbohydrate then breaks down into a sugar.
Okay.
And so for all intents and purposes, almost everything we eat turns into a sugar. We can just kind of look at it that way. At the end of the day, our body breaks it into a very simple math equation where it becomes carbohydrates and water and oxygen for all intents and purposes. And our body has to utilize that. But what is happening in a lot of areas in which we live is that we have access to all of these really simple carbohydrates, and it's driving up our sugar levels, right? Okay. The other problem is that somewhere along the way, there was a man whose last name was Kellogg who convinced us somewhere that we needed to have a highly dense carbohydrate meal to start our day. And I don't necessarily know if that's completely accurate or true, but we've done that. And when we do that, and when we start our day with
yeah,
and it wasn't the one that ran the health farm. It was the brother.
Well,
if you watch the story,
yeah, right. And so but it's so very interesting because now we've all been convinced that Toucan Sam can make breakfast suggestions.
Yep.
Tony the Tiger has made some really good breakfast suggestions for us.
Yep.
Snap, Crackle, and Pop have made wonderful recommendations, and I believe there was a Count Chocolate, right? So how do I get around telling my kids they can't have chocolate for breakfast
when you should be having protein first thing in the morning?
Ideally, right? So or we get cocoa for Cuckoo Puffs. So I bring this along to just say that we begin our day, a lot of us begin our day with sugar, right? Or we begin our day with a processed carbohydrate. And for a lot of us, it's been something that has been ingrained in our lifestyle, how we even go about our day, to the point where as we continue to get older, so yes, when we were younger, we were able to burn off those highly processed carbohydrates that we normally would take in, right? So it was okay when we were younger because we were going to, I had Frosted Flakes, drank the milk, so it was like this whole thing of sugar that you'd get. But then we'd have recess at school, we'd have after school activities, we'd have all of those things. As we continue to get older as adults, we aren't as active as we once were. And some of it is by choice and some of it is just by illness or condition. And so what happens though is we still continue to use these same type of highly processed, highly sugary foods to start our day, and then we're not burning it off. And so it's getting stored in some very interesting ways in our body. And that's what's starting to happen. And so that's why we're starting to see this prevalence of diabetes. And there's a correlation between that and obesity, right? So being obese and overweight and inactivity are all playing roles in what's going on. And so when we start talking about genetics, so you do see it run in families, right? We do see a correlation between, when I lived in Texas, when I was there in the early, it was 2009, 2010, we were already saying that 1 out of 3 Hispanic women would be diabetic.
Yeah.
That was in 2010.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's some type of there's some genetic predisposition, but then there's also some type of things that we're doing with our metabolic health. And what I mean by metabolic health, what I mean is that what's happening is that we're seeing within our bodies, we are giving ourselves too much of one type of thing and not one of another thing. And so having access to really good nutritious food. So yes, I agree, Pete. We should be starting our day with the protein. And you know what becomes so interesting is I challenge people. I say, hey, would you ever consider starting your day with a vegetable? And they look at me as if I offended them, like as if I defame their family name. When I suggested that they should just have a vegetable to start their day, they look at me as if they don't know where to start. Like, what do you mean have a vegetable?
Yeah.
But it's so important because what I'm getting at, and I know I'm probably talking too long, but
no, you're doing fine. You're the guest.
But the issue is that when we start our day with fiber, when we start our day with a real type of food, it doesn't drive our sugar levels up so high to start the day. And so we start at a much better place that our body can actually work with. When we start our day with a really high sugary substance, we also have this huge sugar spike and we have this huge drop. And so then we start having changes in our energy levels and we start to wonder why we're starting to fade towards
we feel sluggish.
We feel sluggish all of a sudden. And then lunch comes, and then we have a grinder, right? And then
more bread, more rolls,
exactly. And all of a sudden, our carbohydrate level spikes again, and so we don't find this even balance. And then what happens is when we start to really understand what's going on, we're like, well, what am I supposed to eat? And then the problem then turns into, well, wait a minute. I've been told I'm pre-diabetic. What should I be doing now, right? And so we start having those conversations. So in short, that is what diabetes is. How do we know we have it? I think would be the next question,
absolutely.
Right?
So, how do you know you have
what's
it?
going on? So a lot of times you'll start to notice that you might have an increase in thirst. So if you're drinking all of the time, like you need to have all this water, like, doc, I've been so thirsty as of late, I don't know why. And what's happening is that we've got so much sugar in our body is doing its best to try to
dilute it
and get it out of you, right? And so you're trying to drink all this water to really flush out as much sugar as you possibly can. So then you're trying to drink and you're peeing so much. Sometimes you might even, wet the bed, right? And you're like, wait a minute, I'm 45, I'm 30. What am I doing?
Exactly.
This is not normal, right? Yeah. Those things happen. Your vision can become very blurry, right? And so what happens when you get blurry vision? Well, what's happening here is that you can imagine that all the sugar is kind of blocking all these little arteries that are existing in our body, and you need blood flow in order to see. And so vision can be an issue. Or it could be the exact opposite. You could lose a whole lot of weight. So you could be someone that was in there, you could be 250 pounds. And then all of a sudden, over the last 2 to 3 months, you're now 200 pounds. And you're saying, Doc, I lost all this weight. I don't know why. I'm peeing. I'm thirsty. I thought I was doing the right thing, but something just doesn't seem right. And so what can happen there is that I tell patients, I say, hey, listen to this. When you have an increased state of being or just a high amount of blood sugar in your body's not bringing it in. So in all theory, your body is starving, right? Because you're taking in all of this sugar, but you can't actually process it. So your body has to draw energy from other places. So it's going to start pulling things from like your fat, but then it's going to start pulling things from your muscles, right? And so you're going to lose weight there. It might even pull things from your brain. So your thought process can get a little bit like cloudy.
Little fuzzy.
And you're like, what's going on? So these are some things that might be happening. Or you cut yourself and you just can't seem to heal like you used to. And so you start noticing these things and you're like, wait a minute, maybe I should get checked out. And you should, right? And so the recommendation now is anyone who is over the age of 35 and has a family history or has hypertension or high cholesterol, or you had a history of gestational diabetes, meaning that when you were pregnant, your blood sugars are a little bit off, you should get screened for diabetes. And it's extremely important that we start doing that because this is something that we can prevent if we catch it soon enough. Well, not necessarily prevent, but something we can manage and control. Yep. And I think a lot of times we don't want to address it early on in life. And then when we get a little bit older, we kind of want to say, well, what can I do? Can I make this go away? And the answer is no, you can't. Because once you're out the gate, it's out the gate.
Yeah. I think there were so many things that you touched on that I just want to sort of highlight a little bit. One is age.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people feel like, especially type 2 diabetes, well, it's the old person's disease, Nope. Yep, you turn 65, you better start getting tested. But more and more, what I'm reading in the research is, people are being diagnosed at a much younger age. And partly it is that lifestyle that we've already created with, we are... we're kind of that generation of it was like you had cereal for breakfast, you had a sandwich for lunch. I mean, it's just like and then you had your protein and stuff for dinner. Well, by that time, it could be like 6, 7 o'clock at night.
Correct.
You've been up for 12 hours for heaven's sake.
And we also grew up with the food pyramid.
Yes.
Right. We a lot of us went to home ec. A lot of us had.
Yep.
We were educated on what that food pyramid was. And for some odd reason, we wouldn't necessarily follow it all the way, right? Because where do vegetables fall in the food pyramid? And for most families that I went to, we typically got our vegetable at the end of the day.
Yes.
And it was like one time and one time only. Yeah. Like I don't really recall. Or vegetables would just be some type of condiment that you would use like ketchup or mustard, right?
Exactly.
So,
a little relish on
a little
your
bit of
hot
relish.
dog, yeah.
But it was definitely, bread was definitely persistent on there. And we could have conversations as to why and who made the food pyramid and why we ended up with that scenario. But it is very interesting that a lot of it is just tradition that we've utilized generationally.
It was also highly processed white bread. It wasn't like
it wasn't like whole grain
or
rye
right, or
exactly.
something like that. That
It's
wasn't.
it was like they bleached everything out of it,
Right.
that had any nutritional value.
So we could put it on the shelves, right? So we
Yeah.
could put it on the
Yes.
shelves, and it could stay on the shelves
Yeah.
for an extended period of time, and there was some value to that, just like canned food. But over time, I think it just became a little too rampant.
Yeah, a little too easy. Well, I think the other thing too, I learned this when I was teaching over at Springfield College. I used to have my students do an exercise, and not to go through all of that, but it came out that one of the things they had to do was eat a meal while they were restricted with vision and mobility and things like that. We had all these braces that they had to wear. And so I had them do a journal of, what was your day like when you had to do all of these things. And I had students who were foreign students who, and the first time I read this, I went, what? To your point about vegetables for breakfast, because he was at home and he said, so my mother, made me soup for breakfast. And I'm thinking, soup for breakfast? Who eats soup for breakfast? Well, he was like from Japan or, one of the Asian countries. And that's what they had. And it had rice and it had veggies and it had this, that, and the other thing. I remember reading that thinking, breakfast? Really? But that's cultural for them. And I asked him about that. I said, "What is that unusual?" He said, "No, that's what we all eat for breakfast. Like, what do you eat?"
Yeah.
Yeah, So I think there is sort of that. Then I realized, well, in America, it's, cold cereal and milk. That's kind of the, what we think of as the typical American breakfast. I mean, I think we've expanded that a little bit, and people are realizing that, people are having vegetable and fruit smoothies and, different, eggs and, different things like that. But then again, the egg was pretty maligned for a while. And
Very
it was
much
like,
so.
you can't eat one egg. I can remember my in-laws, just like, we can't have any eggs like ever again. And I thought, oh my God, we are.
But think about the protein that we also put on the plate for breakfast, right? I think that's the other thing that we do, right? So, in a lot of communities, I remember growing up, we would get, you'd get, Taylor ham,
right? Yeah.
Cheese, egg on a roll, right? And
Right.
so it would always be some type of processed meat,
Right.
right? And so
Right.
I think the other portion to this, or the other conversation is if we weren't getting, if we were doing the, what is an American breakfast, right? And I do think there's something to that, where a lot of times when we think about an American breakfast, it usually contains some type of processed carbohydrate or processed protein.
Oh, yeah.
In every form or fashion. And I do think that is definitely something that we need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
And when you look at different regions of the world, you're right. To your point, yeah, there is something to say when you start your day with soup and vegetables, right? And you look at the population and you see the type of things that affect those populations compared to the populations that are locally to us, right? The prevalence of diabetes is a little bit lesser in certain regions of the world, and a lot of it has to do with what they start their day with. So there is some value to that conversation.
Yeah, for sure. And I also wanted to just go back and highlight, because for a long time I was always really confused about this. About the whole sugar thing, but how glucose fits into that. So,
Okay.
Because medical professionals will say, well, we need sugar. You need a certain amount of sugar, but it has to be usable. And I think that's where type 2 diabetes comes in, where you have the sugar, but you don't have the glucose isn't working the way it's supposed to work. So
Great question.
Yeah.
So when we start talking about glucose and sugar, we use those terms interchangeably. And the glucose is what our body takes in, right? It's something that we need. We do need sugar, right? That is
Right.
something that we need, and it's something that's processed in our body that we need to utilize in order to give us energy, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
glucose is something that gives us energy. The issue is we can have an overabundance of that, and then what happens is the body tries to do its best to bring it all in. Like it really tries. And it's trying to bring it in with a molecule in our body called insulin, right? And so our body's producing a lot of insulin to account for all this sugar in our body, right? And then what happens is that over time, our body becomes resistant to the insulin. So we become what's called insulin resistant. And that is what we mean by really when we're talking about type 2 diabetes. That's what we're actually talking about. We're talking about the fact that our body has lost the ability to bring in the glucose to utilize it. And so it just sits in places it doesn't need to sit.
Okay.
And so in a lot of scenarios, we try to turn it into fat, but in other times we just can't break it down or can't utilize it anymore. And so we just have this overabundance of sugar floating in our body. And keep in mind, sugar is something that we really are just, our bodies are just getting used to. Processed sugar is something that is relatively new when we look at what humans have been eating over time.
Yeah.
Now, glucose itself is something that we pull from all different types of sources. We can pull it from certain types of vegetables and fruits and other things of that nature. But at the end of the day, our body breaks down everything we eat, so that carbohydrate turns into glucose because that glucose is really it's like gasoline for our body and for all our little molecules. And if we're not breaking it down and utilizing it in the appropriate way, it just does damage to our body.
And so if you have someone who comes in with some of the symptoms that you've discussed and you suspect it could be diabetes, how do you test for that? What do you do?
So the first thing I'll do a lot of times, if they're willing and they're able to, I'll have them urinate for me. So I'll do a urine sample.
Okay.
And if you have traces or you have sugar in your urine, meaning that, so typically when you urinate, you shouldn't have sugar coming out of your body when you pee.
Okay.
So if that is occurring, I am very suspicious of those of you being diabetic. In certain scenarios, we could just do a quick finger prick where we prick your finger, and some people don't like that because they don't like to get stuck with the needle in the doctor's office, and I understand that. So, but if I'm really, really concerned and they're giving me a lot of indication that's the case, I'll check their blood sugar. If their blood sugar at any point is well over 226, then I've made my diagnosis.
What's normal? What is a normal blood sugar range?
It depends on the time of day and what you've been doing, right? So before meals, so anytime, let's say if you wake up in the morning, for us, normal is anywhere between 70 to 100.
Okay.
Right? In most scenarios. And then if we're talking about randomly, specifically 2 hours after you eat, it should be less than 180, right? And so anytime you veer off higher than that, now granted, if you go to your favorite restaurant and you order everything on the menu,
right?
It might be a little bit higher, right? And so I don't want anyone to freak out if you decide to check your sugar right after you eat a good meal. But 2 hours after that, if you check it and your numbers have not regulated or gotten below 180, then we need to have a conversation. So those are the things that I'm looking for, and those are the numbers. The other thing I will check that will also allow me to make the diagnosis is something called your A1C.
Thank you. Please explain this. I have people that come to us all the time. I just had a woman in one of my support groups talking about this, and I said, okay, I need a refresher.
So hemoglobin A1C is an average of your blood sugars for all intents and purposes. And so it's a 90-day average. And it's a 90-day average of your sugars specifically after you eat, right? So what we're watching is when someone eats a meal, their body responds, right? So their body will produce insulin, and then that insulin should then bring down their sugar number, right? And so it should bring it down to a certain number pretty consistently. When they start to lose the ability to bring it down over a set period of time, that brings up their average blood sugar. When that happens, you then start to have an elevated A1C. Over time, if that A1C is consistently elevated, we can make the case that you are diabetic. Now, it is a percentage also, by the way. So it is a percentage. So we start talking about percentages. So the cutoff would be 6.4%, right? And on most labs, right? Where normal, so a normal average blood sugar percentage number, so it's just a number. The number does correlate with blood sugars as well, right? So the average A1C number for someone who's not diabetic tends to stay below, let's just say 6.4, right?
Percent. Okay.
Anything above 6.4%, you're diabetic, right? One way or another, that's what it's going to be. Or you are highly at risk, and we need to start having the conversations about treatment options, or you just need to be aware of what you need to be doing. And so that's how we make the diagnosis. If I'm suspicious of someone who is diabetic, or other ways it can be done, you have an eye exam and they notice diabetic issues within your eyes, right? So there's some other things that can also present, but that is typically what we see and how we make the diagnosis.
Now, as a physician, how do you determine whether someone, because I hear this a lot from my seniors as well, I don't want to go on medication. How do you make the determination that someone can manage diabetes, type 2 diabetes, through lifestyle changes versus having to go on medications? Is it a combination? Is it, we'll try this for a certain period of time? How do you decide that?
So we make the determination. That's a great question. We make the determination based on where your A1C is at.
Okay.
So let's just say, for example, for every percentage point requires a medication. So if you walk into my office, and our goal, and we have to talk about goals here. So number one, if you're a healthy adult under the age of 65, I'd like for your A1C to be below 7, right? And so let's just say that you're someone who's not very active, but you could be, right? Like you have interest in being active. Maybe you just had a hard run. Maybe job didn't allow you. Maybe you work nights and now you're switching to days, and now the opportunity for you to be a little bit more active, and you are somewhat literate when it comes to nutrition, and you're not allergic to exercise. And let's just say that you have an average blood sugar or an A1C of 7.5. So what that means to me is I could say, well, you're not that far off, right? And if we just lean into this a little bit more and we get a little bit more active, and really try to eat a little bit better, because clearly maybe you're not eating good at all, right? Because some people will tell me, they say, Dr. Lovelace, I eat like crap. I don't exercise. I'll say, okay, well then let's give it a go, right? Let's give it a go. You got 3 months to get it right.
All right.
Right. So that's where that starts. Now, some people could walk into my office, and they could have an A1C that's undetectable because it's so high, right? It could just say greater than 15, like they stop reading.
Oh
it,
my gosh! Wow.
Which means that their blood sugars are consistently in the 300s, some even higher than that.
Yeah.
And for me, this is
that's not a conversation.
This is not a conversation of diet. This is, you need insulin right now, because right now you are showing significant insulin resistance, but you may not need to be on it for forever, right?
Okay.
You're just your pancreas might be in shock. There's parts of your body that just aren't responding, and so you just need to be on insulin for maybe a little bit, but this could be long term. But you need to be on insulin. And there's no questions about that right now.
Okay.
And then there's some that are somewhere in the middle. So let's say, for example, your A1C is 9. Well, to me, it looks like in my mind you're going to be on at least 2 diabetic pills, no matter what, especially if you're over the age of 65 and you're not as active as you once were. I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to say, listen, our goal here is for our sugar numbers or our A1C to be below 7 or at 7, and it's going to take us at least 2 separate diabetic pills to get us to where we need to be. And so this is what I anticipate, right? So I'll be very straightforward and honest. I will say, listen, we're going to start you on this 1 tablet today, or maybe this tablet combination. And the expectation is that your sugar number should come down by this amount. So 1 pill for every percentage point. Right. And that's how we make that determination. So you could understand if someone walks into my office and they have an A1C of 13 or 12, we're also having the conversation of, well, we can consider pills, but you have to, you may also need to be on insulin also, no matter what. Right. Or so we start having those conversations. So it's not just a one cookie cutter approach, but there is definitely a thought process that goes into it. And a lot of it has to do with your A1C, your age, your level of activity or lack thereof, and your understanding of nutrition.
So this has prompted a bunch of questions. My first question is, because you keep throwing around like the age 65 and all. What does age have to do with this? Why is it that if you're over 65, which I am, by the way, so that's why I'm curious, but how does that factor in?
It factors in because when we get to a certain age, our other concerns are going to be low blood sugars. And so our goal is a little bit different, right? So for certain reporting agencies, sometimes they don't want us to be as aggressive with getting your average blood sugar down to a certain level. So in certain categories of patients, specifically for me, if I have an adult over the age of 65, they may not want your A1C to be 7. They may want it just to be below 8.
Oh, I see.
Which makes
Okay.
sense, right?
Okay.
And the reason is because if I get too aggressive with my diabetic management, sometimes I could cause my older adults to have really low blood sugars. And
Okay.
having a super low blood sugar could be a concern. And so
Okay.
the reason why I make that distinction is because I'm still talking about an average, right? And
Right.
so if your average is around 6, that's telling me that you're having blood sugar somewhere between, we could say 70 to 140, right? But
Yep.
if I go any lower and I do that in an adult who may not be as active as they once were, and they drop to the 60s or 50s, that could be very frightening and very scary,
Okay.
and could put them in a place where they don't need to be. And so that's why I try to make the differentiation when it comes to age and our goals when it comes to managing their blood sugars.
And the other thing is you keep using the word manage, which I really like, because I've always kind of felt like diabetes. I have diabetes runs in my family. I mean, type 1 diabetes runs in my family. So, we've always been careful about that. But the word manage is because your treatments change. I mean, I have found, with the folks that I've worked with, I don't have it myself, knock on wood, but that those treatments change because you're checking those numbers, and and then it's like, okay, well now it's too low, so now we need to adjust something over here, or we've put you on medication, but you've also made some lifestyle changes, which are positive and wonderful. So there's adjustments that go. Am I correct?
Absolutely. And I have to talk about it, but our GLP-1 family, right? So the medicines that have been used, and in all fairness, they've been out for quite some time, I've been using them for about over a decade now. But the fact that we're starting to see diabetic medications become a once a week management thing has also changed, right? And so when you're seeing a lot of adults who've been getting the shot we talk about the shot for weight loss, but it's actually a shot that treats diabetes, we're seeing profound amounts of weight loss. And so what happens is yes, if you have been using, Ozempic, Trulicity, Mounjaro, and all of a sudden you've lost 50 pounds, yes, we have to have conversations about how we're going to manage your sugar going forward, because clearly one of the bigger issues and concerns with diabetes in general was usually just managing your weight. But once your weight comes down, your average blood sugar numbers could also come down. And now we have to have conversations about, well, maybe we don't need to be on all of these pills, right? And so those are the conversations that we start to have in regards to managing blood sugars, because if the person does improve, then the answer is, you can do it, right?
And I wonder too if, and again, I've never had a weight issue, so I'm shooting from the hip here, but I'm also wondering if, as people's weight drops significantly, if they just feel that they can be more active, just kind of feeling a little bit better about activity level.
Yeah,
I don't know that.
So yes, so your ability, so yes, because you don't hurt as much, right? You don't hurt as much. It doesn't feel. There is something to be said if you walked around with a 50-pound weight vest all day. That's a thing. And then once you drop that 50 pounds, you're more inclined to want to do things. And yes, we do notice and we do see that those adults who have lost a significant amount of weight tend to be a little bit more active, right? Okay. And that's a really good thing if they have the opportunity to be so.
All right, so I'm going to just look at my cheat sheet here. So, first of all, you talked a lot about nutrition, a little bit about exercise, stress management too. I mean, that sort of has to do with
stress management is huge.
Managing this as well.
Stress management is huge, and I think as primary care providers, we tend to. I think that's where we don't always make the best headway with really helping our patients with managing their stress, because for a lot of adults, stress and how we manage our stress for some can come from certain habits, right? So what we eat and how we eat and when we eat, all of those things matter. If you're someone who likes to have a snack before they go to bed, or if you're someone that tends to have a lot of carbonated beverages, some made with barley, oats, and wheat, or if we're someone who does like a lot of spirits, right, to kind of wind down their day. These are all examples of how certain types of habits or how we manage our stress can really impact our sugar levels, and our body does not know the difference. And I always say this, right? If there's a bear outside the window that's looking to eat me, that's a stress, right? But also in my mind, if I am, concerned about how I'm going to pay the light bill, and it's something I'm thinking about all night long, and I haven't really slept because I'm worried about when my next paycheck is coming in, that's the same type of stress. And so how do we navigate and work through those stressors to try to get that person to really find that peaceful place? And it's extremely important because all of those factors play a role in our overall health from a holistic perspective, and it does play a role. But finding ways and means in which we can help each person work through each stress is very specific. And so for me to just tell someone not to stress is like
exactly.
That's
Don't
like
stress about
it's
you.
like telling them not to breathe. Like it's really hard to do. And so we really try to walk through and have conversations about how we manage our stress internally. And it's definitely it's a path that we have to go down.
Yeah, for sure. All right. I want to, I have two things that I want to end with because we have really covered this. One is dispelling some common myths.
Yes.
So misinformation often prevents people from seeking help. So here are some common myths about diabetes and the truths behind them. So myth, herbs or home remedies can cure diabetes. They can't.
They cannot.
Diabetes needs medical care and ongoing management. And again, I like that word, management. Only older people get diabetes, which we covered this. And I think we're seeing diabetes in people younger and younger. We're seeing it in children, not type 1 diabetes, which is what you used to see in children, rarely, but you saw it, but type 2 diabetes. So that's a problem. If you feel fine, you don't need testing. Diabetes can be silent for years, and for some, fatigue may be the only sign.
Agreed.
And that's tough because, you get tired because of all kinds of reasons. And I wouldn't necessarily think if I were feeling fatigued that, I wouldn't necessarily, if that was my only symptom, I wouldn't necessarily think diabetes. That would, not at all. I think of a whole bunch of other things. On the other hand, the myth that diabetes is a death sentence. Oh. It's not. I mean, it can be managed. It can be controlled. I mean, you have to, there are lots of factors that you have to, you have lifestyle changes, and lifestyle changes can be challenging for people, for sure.
Yeah, and our bodies adapt. And I think that, the one thing that is really important with understanding life and talking to your doctor is hopefully your doctor is educating you on the concept that our bodies continuously change over time and they adapt. And if you allow them and just take care of them, there are certain things that you can manage on your own. And there are just some things that are just going to occur in life that just need some level of treatment. And that's okay.
Yeah.
And no, diabetes is not a death sentence. Now, if you let it go and you don't pay attention, yes, you will go blind, you will become an amputee, you will have heart disease, you will have all the things that will make your quality of life as you age just horrible.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that. And I can understand why people look at it like a death sentence simply just because it means that they have to change what they're doing. And for a lot of people, we are, especially as we get older, we just get stuck in our routine and we get stuck in what we think we should be doing with ourselves. And we definitely don't need anybody telling us that we need to do something different with our life in regards to our health, just simply because we believe that we know our bodies best. And I think we do to a certain extent, but I do think we all need a little bit of guidance. And I do think every championship team has a good coach. Mm-hmm. And that's what I am.
And you know what? I also want to just, this is a little, commercial. So at the Senior Center, pre-COVID, and then we resurrected this group about 2 or 3 years ago, we have a monthly diabetes support and education group. And that is what we call it. It's called Diabetes Dialogue. And we call it a support and education group because it is, as much as it's a support group for those with diabetes and their families and their loved ones. It's run by Jen Jafune, who's going to be my next guest.
Great.
She's walking in this right now. So Jen is a registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist. And I met Jen back 20 years ago when it was Noble Hospital, not Bay State Noble, just Noble Hospital, and she was running the diabetes support group at the hospital. Wonderful. And I came in as a guest presenter, just to talk about services through the Council on Aging. But anyway, Jen, that group, it meets monthly. It's the last Tuesday of the month, so they met yesterday just because with the Thanksgiving holiday, we got a little wacky with dates. But it's usually the last Tuesday of the month from 1:30 to 2:30. It is open to those with diabetes, type 1, type 2, pre-diabetes, and family members. And she finds a lot of times we'll have couples come in because especially if it's the husband who's been diagnosed, but the wife's doing the cooking and she's, preparing for the most part. We still have a lot of people that have those traditional roles. It's important for everybody to understand what we're doing here. So, you are not alone in this. I mean, there are literally like millions of Americans that have this. But I think it's important to I think support systems are just so helpful and important. And again, if you're not doing the food preparation and you've been diagnosed, it's important for the person who is doing the food preparation to understand.
I agree with that so much, just because you'll have a lot of adults and they'll be like, well, I went to the hospital and they told me I can't eat anything, right? What am I supposed to eat, right? You run into, I'm on a blood thinner, I have hypertension, I have high cholesterol, and I have diabetes. Well, then what is there for me to eat, right? And I do think having that conversation with your registered dietitian is just so key, because it just puts things in perspective so that you could have a better cadence as how you go about giving nourishment for your body, because it doesn't mean that you have to stop eating anything. It just means, the balance needs to just be a little bit different on the plate. And I do think having the right professional guide us there really makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And we've really tried to make this so that every month in the newsletter, whatever Jen, she always has a particular topic. Oftentimes it's what people are requesting information about that are in the group. So that's in our newsletter. It'll have, this is your reminder of when the group meets. And it's not a lifelong commitment to attend this group. You can attend a few, or you might say, hey, that's a topic that I need more information about. They're going to be discussing. Yesterday they were discussing healthy holiday eating. So how can you enjoy the holidays as a diabetic and still, not go crazy with, having your blood sugar out of control? So
and in all fairness, you're getting access to a real professional, right? You're getting access, and it's not really an appointment or an authorization or anything like that. You're just coming in. So I have to continue to encourage attending this, because this is just an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, it is 7:04. We have blown through all commercials, all breaks, all whatever, but this was an important topic. Thank you, Dr. Akinyele Lovelace. Dr.
Pleasure.
Lovelace is with Family Medicine Associates here in Westfield. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. We're going to take our top of the hour break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Jen Jafune, the facilitator of the Diabetes Support Group. We'll be back.
Support for community programming provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. Visit bettsplumbing.com or 14 Coleman Avenue, Westfield. Public welcome.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
107.5 FM, WSFD.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 107.5 FM, WSFD-LP, Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:08. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host, and we have transitioned to Jen Jafune. And I told Jen, I said, we were just talking about you on air with Dr. Lovelace. Jen is a registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist practicing here in Westfield. Joins us monthly for our Food for Thought segment. So this is going to work. In a few minutes, we're going to continue a discussion that we started last month on heart healthy fats, and we're going to talk about the less healthy fats, which we didn't get to, and Jen wanted to. So that's on the agenda, and other topics if we have time for them as well. I do have some announcements because we've kind of been blowing through all of the breaks because we have a lot to talk about. Holidays are coming up. There's all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to start with some of the local Westfield announcements and just some things happening in the area, and then I'll hone in on some of the things going on at the Senior Center. The Salvation Army is looking for bell ringers. It's that time of the year. And more than ever, I think we have, with everything that happened with SNAP and, the government shutdown, I think if there was a silver lining, it's that it drew attention to the fact that we have a lot of people who utilize SNAP benefits. And by the way, I just want to point out, the vast majority of them are working people. Yes. So they're not people that are just like, I'm just sitting on my couch watching TV and I have food stamps or SNAP benefits. No, they're people that are working and trying to, they're not making enough money to provide food for their families.
Tina, add to that senior citizens who don't bring in enough because Social Security
because they're living on Social Security.
Right.
Oh, there's absolutely that.
And the disabled.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not people sitting on their couch with their feet up eating bonbons.
Right. And I think that's, So anyway, we look to the Salvation Army a lot, especially during the winter months, for help with some of those crisis cases that we have. So I always like to do the plug for, and if you belong to a group or an organization that can help out with the bell ringing, and, if everybody does it, for a couple hours, once or twice during the holiday season, they're covered. They're good. So anyway, the kettles are going to be located at Walmart and Stop and Shop from Thanksgiving through Christmas Eve. So if you are interested, you can contact Emmy St. Jean. Her number is 204-8556. And I have this flyer that Emmy and Lori Matthews, who's the outreach coordinator for the Salvation Army here in the Westfield area, sent to me. This is on our bulletin board in the vestibule when you first walk in the Senior Center. Again, it's Emmy St. Jean. Her number is 204-8556 if you can help them out with that. So I wanted to make that announcement. I wanted to point out that this was in which edition of the Westfield News? Last Wednesday's. The Women's Club is celebrating small business with local vendors. So Small Business Saturday is the Saturday after Thanksgiving, which will be a week from this Saturday, so November 29th. The Women's Club is actually dovetailing that, and in the Women's Club, I think they're going to have 20 vendors. They're going to be having music throughout, which will kind of add a different flair. And I think that all of the music they're all female artists or facilitated by female artists. And I just found out that our Do Re Mi singers are going to be singing.
Nice.
I think they're up first. So I think they all have like a half hour or something like that they'll be performing. So that's going on from noon to 5 p.m. at the Women's Club. So it's a day of music, crafters, and shopping fun for the whole family. And they're trying to coordinate this with what's happening with Small Business Saturday. So I would, just encourage you to do that and support the local businesses. I also promised my friends at Holyoke Medical Center that I would make this announcement. They are having a free holiday luncheon on December 3rd, which I think is I'm not trying to remember what day of the week that is. I think it's a Wednesday. 11:30 to 2 p.m. at Holyoke Medical Center, which is located at 575 Beach Street. It's a complimentary lunch and an update on what's happening at Holyoke Medical Center. And I got to tell you, folks, there's a lot happening at Holyoke Medical Center these days. So, something to check out. You can RSVP. You have to RSVP by November 21st. So today's the 19th. So you have 2 days to do this. You can call the YMCA. That's not where they're having it, but the YMCA is taking reservations. The Holyoke YMCA. So that number is 534-5361. Or you can visit the YMCA front desk in Holyoke, or you can scan their QR code. So all of this, I have this flyer up in the Senior Center in a bunch of different places by the front lobby. So if you're interested in that.
It is a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday. So that's coming up in a few weeks on Wednesday. On the Senior Center front, we have, speaking of Wednesdays, next Wednesday is our new support group. It's called Stand By Me. Very similar to our side-by-side group. Musical theme, which I like. This group is open to any older adult who's coping with life's challenges. If you're dealing with your own health problems, the loss of close family members or friends, maybe you have caregiver responsibilities, maybe you're raising your grandchildren and that's stressful. But the support of others in the same boat may be helpful. We chat informally. Everything is confidential. You don't have to sign up in advance or anything like that. But this group, the Stand By Me group, meets on the last Wednesday of the month. So that is going to be next Wednesday, which is the day before Thanksgiving. But and it's a small group right now, but it's really funny because I mentioned that to them last month. I said, it's going to put us at the day before Thanksgiving, but I need to keep it that day for some different reasons. And they were like, yep, that's fine. We'll be here. So we meet from 9 to about 10:30 or so. As I said, that one's a small group because we're just getting started. It's the same as the side-by-side group, just that I couldn't accommodate any more in the side-by-side group. And I have one woman who has a hard time making it on the last Friday of the month, which is side-by-side. And I was on the phone with her yesterday, and she said, well, I think I'm going to come to the Wednesday group. And I said, I'd much rather have you come to the Wednesday group than not come to a group at all. So right. Absolutely. A reminder to those who would like to support the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center, we are doing our lottery ticket holiday fundraiser. We've been doing this for a couple of weeks now. We do it through the month of November, and we'll choose the winner next week on Thanksgiving Day. So they are raffling off a holiday box filled with gift bags and tags and holiday cards and tissue paper and tape. So that's in preparation for the holidays. And $100 worth of lottery tickets.
Oh, fun.
And the lottery tickets are in different denominations. So it's really funny because the winners, this is, I think, the 5th or 6th year we've done this. And the winners have told me that there are some $1 lottery tickets, some $2 lottery tickets, some $5, a couple of $10 and $1.20. So they say what they usually do is use the 1 and the 2 as stocking stuffers. Oh, perfect. And then they try the big ones for themselves. And we've had winners for sure. So we will be drawing the name of the winner on Thanksgiving Day and letting them know that following Monday. Kathy Millis, who's spearheading this effort, she volunteers at the front desk on Thursdays and Fridays. So she will be there tomorrow tomorrow. She's been there, she's been selling throughout the month, but we'll definitely be there tomorrow and Friday selling tickets. And also, this has gone over really well. So the Friends group decided, in honor of our 10-year anniversary, that they would offer a membership special, because the only type of Friends membership that we have is an individual lifetime membership, and it's $100. So they're doing a half price special that started on our 10-year anniversary, which is October 26th, and it runs through December 31st. So during this time period, membership is half price. It's $50 for a lifetime membership. It's a way of just supporting what we do at the senior center. We really try to keep our programs affordable, and the Friends group, is behind the scenes, really, financing and funding a lot of those, including our diabetes support and education group. That is funded through the Friends group. There's no charge for our seniors to come in and participate in that group, and that's the way we try to make it. So this is a way to, support the Friends group and kind of pay it forward. So you have, and Kathy suggested too, and we've had some success with this for families. Instead of another pair of slippers for grandma, get her a membership. Get her a lifetime membership.
I'll tell you something that we do in our family, because we have a very big family, and there's a bazillion children, right? And there's, the next generation, now there's another generation below them. We no longer give gifts. We make a donation or several donations in honor of the family, and that's it.
Yeah.
We don't do gifts.
Yep.
And it's a nice way to recognize that we care about people, but we're we're going out into the community and sharing that.
I agree.
So.
I agree, and I think a lot of families have done that. And have the gift giving has gotten way.
Well, especially when you have people who have everything.
Well,
think of grandmas and grandpas.
Right.
They already have everything.
That's the thing. And that's what Kathy and I were saying. It's like they don't need. I remember, and I use this expression all the time because this was a real story of a real person that I worked with when I was working out in Iowa. I was working at a continuing care retirement community, and I had a woman who was in her late 80s who was just this crotchety old woman, but I kind of felt like that was the exterior. And underneath there was, and that's exactly what it was. She was this little wiry, but I broke her down, I killed her with kindness. And so we became friends. We became very friendly. And she had 2 children. And she said to me, the Christmas before she passed away, and it wasn't she was dying or anything like that. We just didn't know by then she was in her 90s.
Right.
And she said to me, I just want my children and my grandchildren to come and visit me more than the obligatory, Christmas and Thanksgiving. And she said, and I don't need another pair of slippers.
Yep.
She said, open my closet. And she wasn't kidding. And I said, she said, no, open my closet. There were all these boxes. She must have had like 6 or 8 boxes of slippers. She said, that's what they do. They come and they spend 5 minutes and they give me a box of slippers and we're done. And she said, that's not what I want.
No.
She said, what I want is, I want to know how my grandchildren are doing. I want to talk to them about school. I want to read stories with them. And so, that kind of became my thing. It's like, they don't need another pair of slippers.
Yeah.
So do something. This is so awesome because it's, the Friends group is just the group that keeps on giving.
Right.
And we talked about at the 10-year anniversary, not just, they bought all the furniture in the new senior center, but there are a lot of behind the scenes things that they've done in order to start up. Somebody comes to us, well, we want to start a mahjong. We wanted to start a mahjong group. I said, okay, what do you need? Well, we need some sets. Well, okay, that costs whatever that costs. Chess, same thing. Cribbage, same thing. So, a lot in fitness, they've bought lots of things for the fitness group. Well, we want to add another class or we want to expand what we're doing. But again, we want to keep the cost down for our seniors. We don't want to say to them, well, you have to go out and spend $20 on weights, we'll and bring them in each time you come. Like, that's not going to work.
No,
so, we do a lot of things like that. So please support the Friends of the Westfield Senior Center. Again, that half-price membership, and it is popular. People are really responding, and we are very, very, very grateful for that. All right. I think that's all of that. Okay, Jen, I'm going to start with this. Did you know November is National World it's not. It's World Vegan Month. It's World Vegan Month. So we'll talk about that for a minute. We'll take a break because I have a new theme song for you that I'm so excited to have you hear. But let's talk about this first. We'll listen to the song, then we're going to come back and I'm going to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay.
So, calling all vegans, World Vegan Month is an annual designation observed in November. This month, plant-based eaters from across the globe come together to celebrate their 100% cruelty-free lifestyle. So what exactly defines a vegan? Veganism is a way of life that excludes all forms of cruelty to animals for food, products, or any other purposes. There are many different ways to embrace the vegan lifestyle, but the underlying rule is to eat a plant-based diet. Vegans also go a step further than just avoiding meat. They also avoid fish, dairy, eggs, and honey, as well as products like leather or fur. So you might be thinking, so what can they eat? Surprisingly, there are thousands of vegan recipes out there that are delicious and exceptionally nutritious. So I'll give you 5 reasons on why to choose to go vegan. Going vegan treats or reverses health conditions that you may already have. Many experts say that a plant-based diet is often more effective than medication or even medical procedures when it comes to treating diseases. Sticking to a plant-based lifestyle helps you get slim and stay that way. Vegans are the only group of people who average a normal and healthy BMI, body mass index, because they do not eat animal products that are calorie dense. Animal products usually contain bacteria, antibiotics, hormones, dioxins, and other toxins that can lead to health problems in humans. This is one reason food poisoning is so common. You can try amazing new meals. So there's another reason. There are more than 20,000 kinds of edible plants in the world. Believe it or not, prepared with the right spices and side dishes, these plant-based meals are delicious and satisfying. And it's never been so easy to be vegan. These days, most supermarkets have entire sections devoted to the vegan lifestyle, including meat replacement options and delectable desserts.
You know, the other thing I want to throw in there is that it's not an all or nothing prospect. So I would encourage people to maybe try 1 or 2 vegan meals a week. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be dinner. So a vegan meal can be peanut butter on bread with jelly with some carrots on the side. That's vegan. It's doesn't have to be scary like tofu, you know, which most people find intimidating. So you can ease into a more plant-based lifestyle. And you know, if you love honey and you don't want to give it up, you can still have honey. There are some what I would call militant vegans.
Yes.
I've encountered them.
Yes.
They get mad at me when I say things like this. But not everyone is 100% committed from day one.
Yeah. Yeah. And to completely change your lifestyle and your eating habits like overnight, that it's not realistic. It's like saying I'm going to exercise. So I've joined the gym and I'm going 7 days a week and I'm going to spend 2 hours in the, sure, it's not realistic. It's not sustainable. Right. And after about a week, you'll give it up.
Because you pull a muscle.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's the same with vegan. You're just, it's like, no, this is too hard. So I'm not going to do this at all. I love just sort of transitioning in, easing in. And it's interesting because a lot of you know my husband Gary has been on a gluten-free diet for now I think like about 3 years. I shouldn't even say diet, just gluten-free. Lifestyle, yeah. And, the thing about it is that over that time period, I've kind of learned like what meals the whole family's going to enjoy. It doesn't really matter whether it's gluten-free or not, Right. So, and especially, of course, with the 2-year-old, she didn't know the difference with anything anyway. She's gobbling down at Gary's gluten-free stuff all over the place.
Because that's all she knows.
That's all she knows. All right. So it is 7:25. We're going to take a short break because I have a new theme song for you, Jen.
Great.
So we're going to play that. I found this theme song. First of all, just to set the stage, Jen and I both are grandmothers and we both have granddaughters. How old is Josie now?
Turning 4.
Okay. So Josie's turning 4. Charlie is 2 years old. This is a Sesame Street song that I had never heard before. It's sung by Cookie Monster. It's called "It's the Healthy Foods Rap." So this is your new theme song. You are listening to 107.5 FM on your dial and watching WCPC Cable Channel 15. We'll be back.
Well, me known for eating cookie when me don't dish out hooky, trying to throw loyal fans a curve. What he doing eating fish or vegetable dish? Man, he sure got lot of nerve. Well, me answer you straight when you filling up plate, taking only cookies, all wrong. Cause you also got to eat fruit or veggies or meat if you wanna be healthy and strong. Yo, healthy food, boy, it tastes so good. Me one healthy dude, cause me eat healthy food. Me love it, boiled or stewed. Me love it, whole or chewed. You feel just great if you eat some healthy food. Me promise that when you eat varied menu, you get more out of every meal. You need balanced diet, come on and try it, not believe how great you feel. Munch some carrots or beans, or poultry and greens, along with your chocolate chip. And banana or plum will make you go yum. Nutrition, it really hit. Girls, healthy food, oh boy, it tastes so good. Be one healthy dude, cause we eat healthy food. We love it, boiled or stewed. We love it, whole or chewed. You feel just great if you eat some healthy food. Their broiled spring chicken, grape, ripe pork picking, and swordfish, tuna and trout, and apple and cherry, and all kinds of berry, and broccoli and Brussels sprout. Their lettuce, tomato, boiled new potato, their spinach and celery and beet, milk and honey and cheese, peanuts, peppers and peas, pears, peaches, and cream of wheat. Word up, healthy food, boy, it tastes so good. Me one healthy dude, cause we eat healthy food. Me love it, boiled or stewed. Me love it, whole or chewed. You feel just great if you eat some healthy food. Fry girls, healthy food, boy, it tastes so good. Me one healthy dude, cause we eat healthy food. Me love it, boiled or stewed. Yeah, yeah, whole or chewed. You feel just great if you eat some healthy food. Here we go now. Ho, ho, ooh, ho, ho, hiya, Go, girls.
Support for community radio provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Listen to me, Michael Buster McMahon, Mondays 8 to 10 a.m. to learn the stories behind your favorite songs. Or don't. I'm not the boss of you.
Community Radio.
107.5 FM WSFD. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 107.5 FM WSFD-LP Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:30. You are indeed listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial. The other one used to roll off my tongue. This one I have to think about, and I'm looking for my cheat sheet here. And WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host. My guest this morning is Jen Jafune, who is a registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist. She does, in fact, run our Diabetes Dialogue Support and Education Group. We were talking about that last hour with Dr. Lovelace, and that group generally meets on the last Tuesday of the month from 1:30 to 2:30. And I do just want to, remind folks that it's open not just to those with diabetes or pre-diabetes. It's really open to anyone, and certainly to those family members of those with diabetes and pre-diabetes, because it's helpful. And we do, again, call it a support and education group because there's that educational component.
Right. And I think some people think because it's a support group, they have to get up and tell their story.
Yeah.
That's not what we do.
My name is Tina and I'm a diabetic. You don't have to do
No.
Yeah, that's not what we do. And I was mentioning to Dr. Lovelace, who was like salivating over this, I said, there's always a topic, which by the way, that was part of your email. You have to give me the topic for December, because I do highlight that in the newsletter so that people know. It may be that people just want to come for particular topics, and that's okay. You're not, we're not asking for a commitment forever. No. I think most people, when they start coming, they really enjoy it and like, want to come every month and really like it. But, but if you're just interested in particular topics, those will be highlighted in the newsletter so you know what the upcoming topic is for that month.
And the information is universal.
Absolutely.
Really. Most people could and should be following the healthy eating plan that people with diabetes follow.
Right.
So, you can just come if it's a topic of interest to you. I believe next month we'll talk about heart health, blood pressure, and sodium.
Okay.
Because I did a new survey 2 months ago. What topics do you want me to cover in the coming year? And that number one was, we did heart health and cholesterol. We did the annual holidays talk yesterday.
It's important.
And so the next one on the list is blood pressure, sodium, and diabetes. So.
Okay, so when we're done here, you're going to text me that because I'm going to forget all of the
That's
components
okay.
to that.
That's okay.
But that sounds great. So Jen, this month we are really on this food for thought segment. We're really highlighting and it's a continuation of a discussion that you started last month on heart healthy fats mostly. But you didn't really get to talk about the unhealthy ones that we want to stay away from. So where would you like to pick this up?
I think we just recapped briefly when you, whether you have diabetes or not, when you go to the doctor for your annual physical, you always get blood work done. Yeah. They always do what's called a lipid panel, and the standard lipid panel looks at your total cholesterol, the LDL, HDL, and triglycerides. So the total is an umbrella of LDL, HDL, but there are other DLs. So they'll never add up if you're looking at the numbers going, well, that doesn't equal the total.
Why isn't it 100%?
Right.
Yeah.
And I gave you my lame way to remember which is good and which is bad. So HDL starts with H, so does heart healthy, happy, and high. So that's the good.
HDL are
and
good.
LDL starts with L, and so does lousy and low. So that's the bad. So, it's lame, but...
Yeah, but it works.
It works.
Okay.
It works. And we talked last time about what values you're looking for when you get the testing done. And I said the current test only means something if you compare it to last time and next time. Mm-hmm. So you can see what trend you're on and where you need to make changes. So even if you get a result that is out of the normal range, a high LDL, which doesn't go, if it's lower than last time, you're trending in the right direction.
Yeah, we're moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And we talked about what makes the HDL go higher, and it was heart-healthy fats, and it was exercise, and soluble fiber. So think oatmeal, right? Mm-hmm. And so now the next part is what makes the LDL go lower, or in most cases, why is it high?
Yeah.
How can I make it go lower?
Yep.
So when it comes to LDL and your total cholesterol, it's what fat you eat and how much.
Okay.
So exercise isn't going to play a role in that side. And alcohol is not going to play a role in that side. That's another of those tests, triglycerides, which we'll hopefully get to. So even if you eat the most heart-healthy fats, let's say olive oil, all the time, if you have too much of it, the total amount of fat can still make your LDLs go in the wrong direction. So portion control and deciding, do I need a fat here? Can I get away with not having a fat? So instead of frying something, can I bake it, broil it, air fry it, steam it? Can I do a different preparation? Can I find a healthier fat if I have to have a fat? That's the way I want people to be thinking.
Okay.
And then how much?
Yep.
That's the key. So what do we know? We know that saturated fat is the fat that makes the LDL go in the wrong direction.
Okay.
Saturated fat is solid at room temperature. That's the key to recognizing it. So think of steak. You see the fat, you put it on the counter, the steak. If you let it sit there for the day, obviously you wouldn't eat it.
Right.
But it would never melt.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So it's solid at room temperature. Think of butter,
yeah.
lard. I mean, yes, if it were 100 degrees outside, some of the butter might melt down a little, but you'll still have a pretty solid.
Yeah, you got to form.
Yeah. But people then say to me, well, Jen, my peanut butter is solid at room temperature. But, if you use natural peanut butter at room temperature, you have all the liquid on the top.
Correct.
That's the heart healthy fat.
Yeah.
You would have to stir that into the peanut butter. And to keep it mixed in, you might want to keep it in the fridge. So there is a difference.
Yep. Okay.
Another fat that people contest is margarine. So that's solid at room temperature. And the reason it's solid at room temperature originally was because they took a liquid fat that was heart healthy. They did a process to it so that it would be solid at room temperature because we like our margarine to spread on our toast.
Right.
We don't want to drizzle it like a liquid oil. Bless you. So the original process created something called trans fats.
Okay.
And trans fats were even worse than saturated. So they made the LDLs go in the wrong direction even more so.
Okay.
I believe it was in the early 2000s that people started to go, hey, those trans fats are really bad.
That's not good.
And there was a cry to have trans fats be put on labels.
Okay.
And I don't remember the exact date when they had to be on labels, but because of that, companies shifted away from it because they knew that, everybody now knows.
Right. Exactly.
We can't sell that. People aren't going to buy it. And really, companies don't, the majority of food manufacturers don't care if something is heart healthy or not heart healthy. It's will you buy it?
Right. Does it sell?
Yeah.
I mean, they're a business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sometimes they'll put some other fats in that will make it solid at room temperature. Could they raise the LDL? Yes, but not as much.
Okay.
So the goal with lowering the LDL is to try to limit your saturated fats. So in real language, what does that mean? Red meats once a week.
Okay.
All right. And to me, red meat is all forms of beef, even the 93% lean ground beef. That percentage, they're not lying, but it's percentage by fat weight, not calories. Fat is light and fluffy. So if you can picture a cotton ball, it's very lightweight, but if you look closely, it's got many layers and layers and layers.
Yep.
Fat is pretty hot, calorically dense, but in small doses.
Okay.
So that 93% lean ground beef is still higher in fat than ground turkey and ground chicken.
Okay.
But even the ground chicken and the ground turkey, I always tell people if you're going to replace something like ground beef with ground chicken or ground turkey, it has to say breast at the end of the name. Ground chicken breast, ground turkey breast. Because if it doesn't, they will throw in the skin of the poultry.
Oh, okay. Understood.
And that's why it looks darker than the breast meat.
Ah, gotcha.
And the saturated fat is in
the skin.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And then I have a conversation with people about just chicken and turkey. Well, I cook it with the skin on, but then I don't eat the skin. But you have to understand that a lot of that fat can, worm its way into the meat during the cooking process. So if there were a way to have the boneless, skinless, or remove the skin before you cook it, you can keep things moist. You can wrap them in foil. You can put them in liquids. I get it. I get that people like to keep the skin on for moisture. Some people really like to eat the skin.
Gosh, in the old days, I can remember as a kid, that was, it was all crispy. And I haven't had skin turkey or chicken skin in, I don't know, 50, probably 40 years, at least, maybe
I tell
more.
people,
So
in
funny,
general, I've always told people 85 to 95% of the time you make your best choices. that leaves a little wiggle room.
Yeah.
So if once in a while you wanted to have a treat like that, then that's your treat.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is coming up.
Sure.
Everybody likes to eat the turkey skin. People tell me that's the best part of the meal. I'm like, oh, there's so many other foods there.
Yeah, I'm not going to waste if I'm going to cheat or I'm going to treat, it's not going to be on the turkey skin, that's for sure. But, everybody's different.
Everybody is different.
They'll have the turkey skin and have to skip the pumpkin pie. There's,
There you go.
There's that.
That's okay. I'll always skip pumpkin pie. I am not a pumpkin pie person.
Oh, I love pumpkin.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just love pumpkin in general.
Yeah.
You make it. Yeah, I know. You make all kinds of stuff that you don't eat.
I know. It's so funny. But I'm a food pleaser.
Yeah.
I love to make it's how I share love with people.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Another food item that always comes up when we're talking about lowering cholesterol are eggs.
And that came up in my discussion with Dr. Lovelace, and I refer to it as the much aligned egg because I can remember years ago when the whole egg and cholesterol thing started. And I can't even remember what decade that was, but it was like no one wanted to eat any eggs because it's like, oh my gosh, my cholesterol is going to shoot up. And the doctor said I can't have any eggs. It's like, dear Lord.
So here's
what's the deal?
The yolk is the issue. The yolk is high in cholesterol, and that's what was the origination of that whole egg panic. However, when I said what makes the LDL go in the wrong direction, I did not say the cholesterol that you eat. I said the fat. So there is an upper limit of milligrams of cholesterol in a day. It's 300. And originally when people found out the cholesterol level in eggs, it was like, I think it was like 280 something in one egg. So of course that was like panic time. They've fine-tuned the testing methods, and it's not as high. I actually don't know the exact amount. I think it's around 216, 217, something like that.
Yep.
But again, it's not the cholesterol we eat that raises or lowers our blood cholesterol or our LDL. It's the saturated fat. Now, egg yolks do have a good amount of saturated fat. So then the question becomes, well, is there anything else in an egg that has nutritional value? And the answer is yes.
Yeah.
It's an excellent source of protein. We compare the protein in eggs. We use that as a standard to compare other things, but you have to remember the protein is in the whites.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yolks.
Okay.
Yes.
So
that's why egg white omelets became the new
it did.
thing, right?
Yes, it did.
Yep.
Yeah.
It also is a good source of is it lutein? I believe it's lutein. It is a naturally existing chemical found in food naturally that decreases your risk of macular degeneration.
Ah, okay.
Not a bad thing.
No, not a bad thing at all, for sure.
So here's the general rule of thumb. This is what I practice with people is if your cholesterol is and LDL are in the normal range, you could have an egg every day. So, if I don't have one today, I could have 2 eggs tomorrow. I probably wouldn't go and, I haven't had eggs all week. I'm having 7.
Yeah.
But, you can kind of have some eggs and not really worry about it. If you've been diagnosed with high cholesterol and your LDL is elevated, but you're not on medication, I tell people keep it to 3 whole eggs in a week.
All right.
You can have more egg whites, but just keep it to 3 whole eggs. If you've been diagnosed with high cholesterol and you're on meds, I tell people to keep it to 2 a week. So, once a week, have your egg breakfast.
Right, exactly.
And there you are.
Yeah.
So they're not evil. They're just something you need to pay attention to and portion control.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what it always comes down to.
Yeah, back to portion control.
There are ways to substitute eggs in things. So one of the things I always tell people, if you want to bread something and saute it, it doesn't have to be in whole eggs. You're just looking for something to make the breadcrumbs stick.
Right. You're looking for glue.
Yeah. So you can just use the egg whites.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. You can bake with fewer whole eggs. If you're baking something, unless someone has an allergy to eggs, you need at least one whole egg. But you can use one whole egg and 2 egg whites. Okay. 2 egg whites equals one whole egg.
Okay, I was going to say, what's your differential there?
And there are other substitutes. I have made egg-free products because I have a grandniece who is allergic to eggs.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I'm making a baked good, I can use 3 tablespoons of, I have to get this right, 3 tablespoons of water with a tablespoon of ground flaxseed. I may have to come back and double check that, but
okay.
You stir that up.
But the point is that there are substitutions.
There are substitutes.
Google it.
Yep. And there's also the egg beaters and the egg substitutes. I'll tell you what those are. Egg whites with color and preservatives.
Okay, there you go. That's it. Yes. All right, let's take a little break before we get onto the next topic, so that everybody feels comfortable. You don't have to completely eliminate eggs from your life, which is good. I actually really like eggs. All right, so in honor of World Vegan Month, we are going to listen to this piece. It's actually an instrumental piece, but I really like it. It's called Plantasia. Plantasia. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 FM on your dial and WCPC cable channel 15. If you're just joining me, my guest is Jen Jafune, registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist. We're talking about healthy and not healthy fats and trying to manage all of that. We're going to listen to Plantasia, and we'll be back.
Underwriting for the community programming is provided by the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. serving the youth of the Whip City and surrounding communities since 1969. For more information on the Great Futures Club for ages 3 to 5, happening weekdays, and the Club Teen Center for ages 11 and older, weekdays from 6:30 till 8 p.m., go online at bcgwestfield.org or visit the club at 28 West Silver Street. The Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. Great futures start here. Want to know what's trending at Westfield Technical Academy? Join host Kevin Daly and Carol Groom to find out all things Tiger. Tiger Talk, Thursdays at 8 a.m. 107.5 FM WSFD. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 107.5 FM WSFD-LP Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:51, and you are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and watching WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I am your Wake Up Wednesday host, and my guest this morning is Jen Jaffoon. Jen is a registered dietitian and licensed nutritionist here in Westfield. Her office is right over the Westfield Gas and Electric, right on Elm Street in that beautiful old building. And we are discussing, last month we started discussing sort of heart-healthy fats. And this month we're discussing, kind of reviewed that a little bit, but also some, the types of fats that you want to stay away from.
Right.
And limit your intake.
Yeah. I feel like I'm saying don't eat. So what can you eat?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So first of all, if you're eating your red meat once a week, great, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just portion control it if you can.
Okay.
And choose a leaner cut if you can. So what do you eat on the other meals? Obviously, you can have chicken, you can have turkey, you can have game meat, by the way, is very lean. And right now we're in hunting season.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have a gentleman the other day, he's like, I just filled my fridge with venison.
I know. I'm not a fan. But,
I'm not either.
I think you have to just acquire a taste.
Yep.
And I know,
I'll tell you a funny personal story, and that is my father-in-law's a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And one year when our kids were little, he got an elk. And we were visiting, and he said, Jen, you want some elk? And I was like, sure. My husband had just opened the machine shop. I was a stay-at-home mom. Most of the time, we didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure. I'll take a cooler full of protein.
Yeah.
And we were driving home, and I said to the kids, guess what? I'm making Papa's elk burgers for dinner tonight. And they were all like, oh, gross. Oh, no, I can't eat that, blah, 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 blah. So, of course, I make elk burgers. And they go, is this elk? And I say, no, it's hamburger. Well, they ate elk for the winter.
Mm-hmm.
They had, and, what you don't know, you don't know.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's the famous zucchini bread story in my family because my youngest brother, did not like zucchini. And so my mother had made zucchini bread and she said, I know Steve's not going to eat it. I said, yeah, he will. Just watch this. So I went in and I said, we were having breakfast and I said, Steve, do you want some nut bread to go with that? And he said, sure.
Yep.
Ate it. Loved it.
Yep.
Thought it was delicious. My mother came out. She said, wow. Did Steve eat that? I said, yeah, because I told him it was nut bread because it had nuts in it.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I used to do stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
so game meat is
lean.
Okay. Fish.
Obviously,
what about fish?
You can have fish.
Yeah.
And then I always get this question. Well, can I eat shrimp? Can I eat lobster? And so here's the deal. Both of them have cholesterol, but they're lower in saturated fat. So, yes, you can have them. They're a good source of protein. However, think about what we do with lobster. We dredge it in butter.
Yes, yeah.
If we don't do that, we mix it up with a lot of mayonnaise.
Right, yeah.
Most people don't eat it just steamed
plain.
and cooked. What do we do with shrimp? A lot of the times it's eaten cold with a tomato base, right? As
cocktail
a shrimp
sauce,
cocktail.
yeah.
It might be sauteed in a little olive oil, but it's never drenched in things.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people, yes, portion control. And probably the lobster a little less.
Mm-hmm.
When it's summertime and you're at your beach house and you want to have your lobster, a 1 pound lobster is a 4 to 6 ounce serving of protein, which is fine. But I would limit that just because of how we choose to eat it.
Yeah.
We can also have plant-based meals. So, this is the season of soup, right? So,
yes.
So lentil soup and black bean and split pea and things like that.
Yeah.
Go ahead and have a meal that is plant-based occasionally, even like
absolutely.
a chili.
Yeah.
You can make chili with meat or you can make chili without.
Yep.
If you use meat for chili, try the ground turkey breast.
I really have to try that. I actually have a vegetarian chili recipe that I've been making for years, long before it was even that popular. And I'll usually throw a little bit of meat in there. But I thought to myself, I can try ground chicken in there. I don't think it's, that's not going to make a difference.
Right.
I mean,
the beauty of the ground chicken or the ground turkey breast is that it has the texture of the ground meat, and you have all those herbs and spices and sauce.
Well, you
really
throw it into
knows.
something like chili. Who's going to know? Nobody's going to know the difference.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to still have your hamburger meat, let's say you just want to have that, whether it's in a lasagna or a burger or a meatloaf, do half and half. Half ground beef, half ground turkey. My new favorite is, I used to recommend the soy crumbles, which are obviously a soy-based product that looks like ground beef, but it has no meat. If you want a less processed version, because now, I'm really pushing the less processed foods, you can do half ground beef, half cooked brown lentils. Same color, mix it up. Now you're getting a product that has half the fat, so half the saturated fat. But now it also has fiber, and it will hold together. You may need an egg white to bind some of the stuff, but that's fine.
Okay.
So, there are things that you can eat, and you are allowed to use some oil. I encourage people to use olive oil.
Yeah, I know you're a big olive oil fan.
Yep. Avocado oil is another good choice. There's a lot of controversy now about seed oils, all of the oils that are soybean, safflower, sunflower, grapeseed. And, the problem is to extract those oils, there's a big processing. Okay. They are removed and they're refined and they're bleached and they're all kinds of stuff. Can you have those? Do I use them? I have some of those. I predominantly use olive oil.
Okay.
On occasion, I'll use one of the others, and that's okay because I'm using little bits.
Okay. All in moderation.
All in moderation.
All right. Well, we need to wrap this up because we are at the top of the hour. But Jen, thank you for coming in and sharing that. I feel like I'm glad that we continued the discussion because I felt like the last time we just hadn't gotten to all of it, and we needed to do that.
Yes.
You will not be joining us in December. December is going to be a little bit of a wonky month for us for lots of reasons between holidays and other personal stuff going on in our lives. So think about what we'll talk about at the end of January.
Wow.
I know it's a long time away. I know, 2026. But Jen will be having the Diabetes Support and Education Group at the Senior Center Diabetes Dialogue in December. Check the newsletter because it will not be the last Tuesday of the month. It'll be like mid-month before the holiday. So we'll sneak it in there. Thank you so much for tuning in. It was a packed show today between Dr. Lovelace and having Jen here. So thank you for watching. You are listening to WSFD 107.5 on your dial and WCPC Cable Channel 15. We have Everything Southwick coming up after this program. We'll see you next week.
When some outbreaker tries to put me down and says his school is great, I tell him right away, now what's the matter, buddy? Ain't you heard of my school? It's #1.